Buttigieg owning the Republicans. It's almost old hat now, except that it continues to be oh so satisfying. It happened again this week. This time, the unprepared Republican at bat was Representative Troy Nehls of Texas's 22nd District. Newly elected this go-round, the former sheriff of Fort Bend County was there ostensibly to question Pete on a bipartisan infrastructure law, but instead of focusing on the work of the American people, Nehls attempted to turn the hearing into a discussion of President Joe Biden's mental capacity, and in the process only brought up questions about his own.
We now have President Biden in office for 18 months, and just recently, we now see the mainstream media questioning President Biden's mental state, and for good reason. Sadly, he shakes hands with ghosts and imaginary people. He falls off bicycles. Even at the White House Easter celebration, the Easter Bunny had to guide him back into his safe place. Cue cards that say, "sit here," or "end of speech," which he actually states, that is, if he stays awake. So my question for you is, sir, have you spoken with any other cabinet members about implementing the 25th Amendment on President Biden?
First of all, I'm glad to have a president who can ride a bicycle. And
That's the
I
question.
will look beyond the insulting nature of that question and make clear to you that the President of the United States...
Have you spoken to any other cabinet members about implementing the 25th Amendment on President Biden?
Of course not.
Please allow the
You ought to
witness.
know
Have you
that the
emailed,
President of
this
the
is my
United
time,
States,
have you emailed any members
President of
with
the
the
United
executive
States,
branch about the President's health or
President
cognitive
of the
decline,
United States
including
is
text
as
messages
vigorous a
from your
colleague
private
or
phone?
boss as I have
I
ever had the
figured
pleasure
this.
of working with.
What about political appointees at USDOT? Have you spoken about
Gentleman's
this issue
time
with
has
them?
expired.
I couldn't hear the question, I'm sorry.
Well,
You yield me 1 minute, sir?
absolutely not. If you had yielded the secretary some time to actually answer the ridiculous question, you might have actually gotten something.
That was Representative Tom Malinowski at the end there, and he is running in New Jersey, by the way, and in a very tight race, so check him out. He could use your help. So what have we learned here? Number one, you can't beat Pete. So stop trying, Republicans. You've put up every version of what your party considers a big gun. Fox News dingleberries, dropout dingleberries, dingleberries with flies, dingleberries who think with their flies, and Marjorie Taylor Greene who thinks flies are snooty intellectual superiors. Face it, Pete is smarter than all of you. He's cool, he's savvy, and he knows words with more than 2 syllables. The faster you realize that Pete is your intellectual superior and give up on trying to outwit him, the more time you'll have for typing in all caps and firebombing abortion clinics. Next, Texas, you blew it. You continue to vote for men and women you want to have a beer with, and then you have to walk the streets of your cities with a phony stride of pride, pretending you don't regret it. You could have had Shri Preston Kulkarni in the 22nd District, a former Foreign Policy and Defense advisor, and a descendant of your own state, Sam Houston. Instead, you elected Buford T. Justice, a shrill and unskilled, tobacco-smoking ape-like carpy who'd be nowhere if he didn't have that second job making winners Monday through Friday on The Price is Right. Finally, and this one is important, President Biden is doing just fine. Yes, he fell off his bike. I fall off my bike. Yes, he needs aides to sometimes tell him where they've arranged for him to sit and stand during events. In Hollywood, we do the exact same thing for every host who has to walk and talk at the same time. I spent a year at the Ellen DeGeneres show, and despite the fact that she's a very nice person, it's truth that she showed up to work 10 minutes before rehearsals began and then had to be told what she'd be doing and saying every step of the way by the producers. Because she's in charge, and she can. The difference is in politics, there's no time for rehearsal if you take the job seriously. May I remind all of you elected Republicans that many of you are not exactly spring chickens yourselves. Some of you take the occasional surprise nap, and some of you probably wear diapers. So be very careful who you start attacking for incompetence, and remember that your party is currently led in de facto by Bobo, the insurrectionist chimp. Joe Biden may not have the charisma of an Obama or a Clinton, but he takes his job seriously, and he made smart choices during the height of the pandemic to protect the health and, more importantly, the sanity of American families. And the truth is that most Americans would vote him into a second term in a heartbeat if the only alternative that Republicans offer is an anti-abortion, anti-gay, anti-trans, anti-gun safety, anti-climate, anti-science, anti-democratic, anti-Disney, apocalyptic, gun-fetishizing ghoul who has no plans to help Americans reach greater potential and ensure that their families are protected from economic and physical harm. For more Pete Love, go to YouCantBeatBlue.com and subscribe to our videos on YouTube. Then follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Reddit, where everybody hates me.